Remember what it was like to be a kid? To explore and play. To roam free all day. In Jamestown, North Carolina, we get out of the grind and escape into the moment. People feel good here. Let loose here. Eat well here. Feel swell here. We go for a ride or an afternoon stroll. We cheer each other on. And go for the goal. Here, a treasured history meets the energy of a town on the rise. In a place with true heart and soul, and where we have our own special beat. Jamestown, North Carolina, where history and possibility meet.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes, Councilmember Glanville.
Here.
Councilmember Rayburn.
Here.
Mayor Montgomery.
Here.
Councilmember Burgess.
Here.
Councilmember Wolf.
Here.
The quorum is present.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Glanville, would you lead us? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please bow your heads for a moment of silence. Thank you. Council, do we have any additions or deletions from the agenda?
Yes, I'd like to request to add a presentation by First Tryon Financial Advisors as the last item under new business.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion
approve the
to
consent agenda.
approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Do we have anyone signed up for the first public comment period?
Yes, Art Wise.
I am Art Wise, 502 Forestdale Drive, and I am representing 141 Jamestown registered voters in presenting a petition to the council requesting the removal of Matt Johnson as town manager. The signatures were collected over a period of 6 weeks at various locations without going door to door. 137 signatures are from Jamestown residents and 4 are from members of the ETJ. The petition is not intended as a document to be taken to court, but is simply a very clear message to the council that a large number of voters in our town have reached a breaking point with rising taxes. Excessive wages, excessive hiring, and a failure to do the duties of the manager in a competent and professional manner. In addition to the petition, I am submitting a partial list of items that were done by the manager, either poorly, not on time, or not done at all. This is unacceptable. As we spoke with people who came to sign the petition, it was amazing how many times we heard the same message. The words were different every time, but people are really tired, especially of the rising taxes. I will give the town clerk the signed petitions to be an official part of this meeting, and I have enough copies for any council members who would like to look them over. I also have copies of the items that were not addressed properly, so council members can examine them for further consideration. At this time, I ask that this item be placed on the agenda for the September meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Art. If you'll hand that to Katie, she will take care of distribution. Anyone else sign up for public comment?
Mickey Wright.
Hello, my name is Mickey Wright. I've lived in Forestdale East and Jamestown for 49 years, since 1976. I was a member of this council for 12 years, from 1981 through 1993. 8 of those years I served as mayor pro tem. And regardless of the outcome of this petition, I'm requesting that you please put a copy of it in the town manager's personnel file for future reference. And I'd like to share a few notes from conversations that we had with citizens while we were collecting the signatures for the petition. Quite a few people agreed with us, but also quite a few feared retaliation from the town, which I think is very interesting that some people have gotten fear from coming to the town. Also, some people refused to sign because they were advised by some members of this council not to sign, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. Almost all that we talked to complained constantly about the attitude of the personnel in the town office. And they all have suggested that those people be schooled on how to work with people. Many complained about problems with the water department, about no warning cutoffs, about lost checks by the town and being cut off, about drop box problems of things disappearing out of there, and again, the nasty attitude of the water department staff when they tried to solve those problems. Many people have complained about problems, as you all know, I'm sure, about waste pickup, trash left in the streets when they don't dump it properly and they don't get out of the truck to take care of it. And those are just some of the things that happened, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk. Thank you.
Mickey, Katie will need your street address.
All right.
Katie will need your street address.
Okay.
What's the number?
503.
Okay.
Greenville Drive.
Thank you. Charles Hensley.
Mayor, council, fellow citizens of Jamestown, I present 10 facts. Fact number 1. At the June 24th meeting, Mayor Montgomery said there are not 10 new positions being funded in this budget. The town manager made a similar statement. Fact number 2, during the public hearing about the budget, I suggested council consider the concerns raised by residents before making their final vote. The council voted up to approve the budget anyway, with 1 dissenting vote. Fact number 3, the town manager called me a few days later, requesting to meet and discuss the concerns I raised to dispel what he called misinformation circulating around regarding 10 new positions being included in the budget. Fact number 4, I met with the town manager and 2 of his staff on Tuesday, July the 8th, along with a Jamestown resident that I requested to attend the meeting with me. Fact number 5, at that meeting, the town manager maintained that 10 new positions were not being funded. I indicated that I would do my own research and would inform him if I developed other concerns. And I did so via email and have not received a clarifying response as of this meeting. Fact number 6, in the May 27, 2025 council packet, the town manager's budget message for fiscal year 2025 through 2026 states salary expenditures include 40 full-time positions. Fact number 7, in last year's budget message on June 25th, 2024, the council package stated salary expenditures were for 35 full-time positions. Fact number 8, I conducted my own comparison between the town of Jamestown's current staffing chart versus the town's previous staffing chart. This comparison raised some even more questions for me. Both charts were obtained from the assistant town manager. Fact number 9, this year's staffing chart contains not 10 positions, but 11 new positions. Fact 10, the difference prompted me to submit an email request on August the 7th to the Jamestown manager, the mayor, the council, asking that this issue be placed on the next public agenda in September in accordance with the Jamestown's public comment policy, section 211. This would allow the council a chance to explain, discuss, and answer the public's questions regarding the discrepancy
Thank you.
with which we have heard from the mayor and the town manager versus what the town's own documents reflect.
Thank you.
Nobody else signed up.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to invite Paul Olson to join me at the podium. We're here with a resolution honoring the 200th
Anniversary of the former Jamestown Baptist Church, which is now the First Baptist Church of High Point. Whereas the Jamestown Baptist Church was constituted on September the 3rd, 1825, at the bend of Federal Street, which is now Main Street, by approximately 25 members of Abbott's Creek Baptist Church who had settled in the Jamestown area. And whereas the church grew in its early years, but in 1832, a majority of the congregation, including its minister, withdrew due to differing views on the church's missionary direction, leaving 5 faithful members to continue as the true Jamestown Baptist Church. And whereas with the construction of the North Carolina Railroad in the late 1850s, bypassing the original settlement of Jamestown, the church relocated to a nearby emerging community of High Point in 1859, becoming the town's First Baptist Church and continuing its mission of faith and service. And whereas the church experienced several name changes, from High Point Missionary Baptist Church to Salem Street Baptist Church, before adopting its current name, First Baptist Church of High Point, at its original High Point location, which is now North Main Street. And whereas during the Civil War, the church served the community as a hospital offering care and compassion during a time of national crisis. And whereas, over the course of 2 centuries, the church has been instrumental in the establishment and support of numerous ministries, including Green Street Baptist Church, Emerywood Baptist Church, the Vietnamese Mission, now an independent congregation, Open Door Ministries, West End Ministries, and other local and international missions. And whereas First Baptist Church of High Point continues to acknowledge and honor its origins in Jamestown and remains a symbol of enduring faith, community leadership, and service. Now therefore, I, Lynn Montgomery, Mayor of the Town of Jamestown, on behalf of the Town Council and the citizens, do hereby recognize and honor the 200th anniversary of the former Jamestown Baptist Church, now known as First Baptist Church of High Point. And thank you for being with us today. Would you like to say a few words to it?
Yes, please. I would love to. Thank you so much, Mayor Montgomery and Council, for this honor. It's a great honor to be here today. 200 years ago this year was the founding of our church, and we're so proud to be from Jamestown. Of course, there was a railroad stop put in down the road. We know that. But on September 7th, at said railroad stop, we're going to be celebrating at our church on 405 North Main, that 200th year anniversary. The mayor of High Point has agreed to also come and give a proclamation, so we're very excited about that. We have two of our members here tonight, Carol Brooks and Debbie Edwards. They're here and supporting. So thank you for this proclamation. We know how churches improve the lives of people in our communities and how they are community-forming places. And so thank you for your support and your honoring of us today. So
Thank you for being with us. We appreciate you.
Thank you, everybody.
Sheriff Rogers, since we got rained out on National Night Out, would you join me for your proclamation? Yes, we have to have the whole team because we usually have everybody. Hey there, how are you? Okay. Whereas National Night Out is an annual community building campaign that promotes police, community partnerships, and neighborhood camaraderie. And whereas the 42nd annual National Night Out would have provided a unique opportunity for the town of Jamestown to join forces with thousands of other communities across the country in promoting cooperative police community crime prevention efforts, except for rain. And whereas the public plays a vital role in assisting the Guilford County Sheriff's Office through joint crime, drug, and violence prevention efforts in Jamestown and in supporting National Night Out 2025. And whereas it is essential that all citizens of the town of Jamestown be aware of the importance of crime prevention programs and the impact that their participation can have on reducing crime, drugs, and violence in Jamestown. And whereas police community partnerships, neighborhood safety, awareness, and cooperation are important themes of the National Night Out program. Now therefore, I, Lynn Montgomery, Mayor of the town of Jamestown, on behalf of the council and the citizens, do hereby proclaim that Tuesday, August 5th, was National Night Out. Thank you. Thank you. Get close. You look tiny between these. I have on my big shoes today. What are you talking about? But I'm sure you feel safe. I feel very safe. Okay, now, excuse me just a little bit more, please. There you go. I got you all now. Smile. Say Jamestown. Jamestown. You got it. Oh, thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I will talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Thanks, Sheriff. Do I get to go again?
And now, I believe, Councilmember Burgess, you have Community Corner proclamation you would like to present. Shauna Moore, would you join Councilmember Burgess at the podium?
Shauna, this is a certificate of recognition for Shauna Moore in recognition of your dedication to historic preservation and your commitment to weaving the town's rich past into its present and your future. Presented by myself, Councilmember Pam Burgess, and thank you for everything that you do and continue to do for Jamestown.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Sean.
Matthew, do you have your manager's report for us?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I do want to say thank you to the speakers for sharing their thoughts. I recognize that often strong opinions come from a place of care for the community. I'll now move on to my prepared remarks for the council and the manager's report. Municipal election primary will be held on October the 7th. The Guilford County Board of Elections conducts all election-related issues. If anybody has questions about how the elections work, they can, or sign up for voting, they can certainly contact them for more information. I did put that phone number in the packet. It is 336, of course, 641-3836, or you can visit their website. Early voting will be held at the town hall here in the council chambers, beginning September the 25th and running through October the 3rd, and again on primary day, which is October the 7th. This will narrow the field for 2 council seats from 7 candidates down to 4. The town staff hosted candidate information sessions for candidates to introduce the key leadership team members and to give candidates information on local government and our key department operations here in town. Most of our candidates were able to attend, and we do appreciate their interest in serving on the town council. JBA, the Jamestown Business Association, has requested the assistance of the town in hosting a candidates forum here in the council chambers on September the 10th from 6 to 8 p.m. JBA has requested that the town live stream the event, which we have agreed to do, and will be found on the town's YouTube site that evening. The town is in the process of selecting a design-build solution to replace and renovate the fire station, Station 46 here behind Town Hall. Due to weather at the National Night Out event, Pinecroft Sedgefield Fire Department is going to postpone their open house to coincide with Music in the Park on October the 3rd. Tours of the station will take place that night from 4 to 6 p.m. This represents outcome 5C in the strategic plan. Music in the Park, speaking of Music in the Park, one of our key items on the council strategic plan, outcome 3A, will continue on Friday, September the 5th at 6 p.m. in Red Miller Park. We're going to be featuring the band Bantam Rooster, and there's more information on our social media site about the vendors who will be here that evening. Elizabeth would fuss at me if I didn't remind you that Fall Litter Sweep is coming up. It will take place on September the 13th from 9 to 11 a.m. Anybody who's interested, we would ask them to RSVP with Elizabeth by calling Town Hall. The groups will meet at the Jamestown Food Line parking lot. She's asked them to wear brightly colored long sleeve shirts and some high top shoes to prevent any unseen hazards from injuring anybody. Our Parks Director, Scott Coakley, is working on completing some of the sections of the new park and the playground area, and we're going to be scheduling a soft opening of those facilities as soon as they're complete and the area is secure from other hazards. We are just as anxious as the public to get these open and let people onto the playgrounds, but safety does come first. So we're asking you to please bear with us as we've been fighting the weather as well. Once a date is selected, we will advertise that on our social media sites. And finally, wanted to wish a happy birthday to my dad who's watching at home. Belated, but
Happy belated birthday, Mr. Johnson.
I'll ask Martha to sing. But
My grandchildren called me Sunday, and my son wanted to know if the playground was open.
We're very close. We've got a little bit of concrete work to do to get access, because it is ADA accessible playground. We've got to get some access in there, so we're working on it.
Speaking of music in the park, Matthew, if there is a way that we can talk about adding some people who've been wanting to come to Jamestown to perform for us. Specifically, I know there was Highway 42 that performed over at Potent Potables for the fundraiser. I know several people really loved them. I think I gave the information to you and Scott, but perhaps maybe for next year, if we can consider them in the lineup, that would be
I
great.
will pass that on to our park staff.
Thank you.
Any other
Any
questions?
other questions for Matthew?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Council, do we have any committee reports? Nothing from you.
Open houses tonight at Ragsdale, tomorrow at JMS, and I think Thursday is elementary schools. So we'll have something next month, maybe. So excitement.
Thank you, Sarah.
Nothing,
Nothing. Next planning board meeting will be September 8th.
Okay, perfect.
We had a park meeting last Wednesday, but it was just an operational meeting. There was nothing specific to Jamestown, yeah.
In other words, it's summertime and everybody.
Yeah.
All right.
And there was no TAC meeting in July, so.
Thank you. Is Sergeant Joseph here? Okay, there you are. We've got Guilford County Sheriff's Department report.
How are you guys?
Real good. Thank you for being here.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm Sergeant Joseph. I'm over our CID in the Jamestown office. So for our reports this month, July, we had 16 total reports. 4 were theft of property. 2 of those were businesses, were Publix up here. They were the only 2 businesses that we had. We had 2 drug or weapon offenses, 1 trespassing, 3 frauds, 1 assault, and 5 other incidences, such as like seized property and so forth. For our calls for service, we had 81 calls for service, 181 self-initiated calls, like our traffic stops, stopping out with individuals, things of that nature. Our average response time went down, which was 8 minutes and 13 seconds. Our average reaction time was 5 minutes and 55 seconds. We conducted 81 traffic stops, and we wrote 20 traffic citations. And for our reminders, we all know school starts back next week, so just be mindful of school zones and pickups where anywhere a bus would stop to pick up numerous kids. That's all we got.
Those traffic stops, 81, were they
That's just for Jamestown.
Main Street area, or just kind of like sporadically all over?
They were I think mainly Main Street and Guilford Road.
Well, we've definitely noticed a lot more folks out in the mornings, and especially I really appreciate, Councilwoman Burgess requested that, and I think we all kind of said that was a need for us, and so
Yeah.
you all responded really quickly, and we appreciate that. They seem everywhere now, so
Yeah. Awesome, thank you.
feel good about it. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good day.
You too.
Yeah.
Ms. A, we'll now move to some old business and have a public hearing for the consideration of amendments to the land development ordinance.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you, I have an ordinance amendment to our land development ordinance, specifically for addition of agricultural fence standards in section 2.13-2, fences and walls. Scott Greason was the applicant. He is here today and present in case you guys have any questions for him at the end. As far as the text amendment request, this is going to add additional materials allowed for fences within properties in the agriculture AG district. It will not include this type of fencing within our scenic corridor overlay districts, which we currently have on Main Street and Guilford College Road. And it also creates specific height standards for these fences on agricultural districts, and I'll explain why. All right, first of all, we're adding material changes, and I'll read you the changes. We're adding one specific to the agricultural district: galvanized wire, barbed wire, welded or woven wire, livestock/cattle fences are allowed in properties within the agricultural zoning district if the proposed fence does not face right-of-way designated as a scenic corridor overlay. Electric fencing is allowed provided that warning signage is installed per Jamestown sign standards, section 17-6-1. Additionally, a type D buffer yard shall be required on the exterior side of the fence when adjacent to any residential district. So I did want to explain the type D buffer yard. Originally, it was C when we went through planning board, but there was a little mistake in the ordinance. We really intend just to have a small buffer, and the type D buffer yard is a peripheral planting strip intended to separate uses, provide vegetation in densely developed areas, and to enhance the appearance of our individual properties. And as you see in the chart, type D is an average width of 5 feet. No evergreen tree rates are required, but we do require understory tree rate as well as a shrub rate. So again, it's just to kind of shield that cattle fencing from the residential district. We are adding an additional section on height for the agricultural district. Fences located along any property line abutting a public right-of-way or street and alongside property lines within the required 35-foot front setback shall not exceed 5 feet in height. Fences along all other interior side and rear property lines shall not exceed 8 feet in height. And I did create a visual here so I can explain that, because it's probably hard to understand when you read it. But on your left, this is typically how we establish side, front yard, and rear yard, and that's how we establish the required height for fences. So to your left, we have in the front yard, whatever space is in front of the house, it has to be up to 5 feet in height, max. Anything beyond that on the interior side can go up to 8 feet in height. This accounts also for corner lots. So if it's on a side street to your left, this is hypothetically a corner lot. That's also 5 feet in height, but they can start 8 feet tall within 15 feet of that side street. So we're having a similar approach, but the difference is for agricultural districts, they might not be a principal structure that defines that side and front yard. There might be a group of structures, or they may be no structure at all. So what we set is, for the setback of the agricultural district, that's when you can start for the 8 feet tall fence. So in the first 35 feet on that front street, it's also a 5-foot maximum, and also for the side street, we're going to stick to 35 for the agricultural district. And again, that's just so it's clear for whoever's enforcing the ordinance, and it's clear also for the applicant or whoever wants that fence on their property. Just wanted to point out where our agriculturally zoned lots are. We don't have a lot of them. And typically, we want to protect these lots as much as possible as well. So we have some lots along Guilford College Road, Vickery Chapel. We have a small piece of property along River Road, and we do have some agricultural pieces of property along Jamestown Parkway. But I did want to visualize, because it's only a few areas in town which this standard would apply. This is just an example of what these fences would look like in terms of cattle fencing and welded wire with barbed wire on top. So I just wanted you to see some examples. And then the decision before you tonight is to make a motion to either adopt or not adopt the proposed text amendment to the LDO. And Planning Board recommended approval unanimously of the proposed text amendment at their July regular meeting. Do y'all have any questions for staff?
Questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll open the public comment period to anyone who would like to speak regarding the proposed LDO amendment. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period and return to council. Pam, did you have any information from the planning board other than it was unanimous?
No, that's pretty much it.
Any discussion?
You know, I think we're used to people coming to us wanting to rezone agricultural to something else, and so it's refreshing that someone comes to us and wants, something to be able to keep and use their property as agricultural. So I know I was excited when I heard about that.
Yeah, I agree. I was good to see, to preserve that, yeah. So I would make a motion to approve the proposed amendment to Section 2.13-2, fences and walls of the Land Development Ordinance as presented.
Second?
This is a roll call vote.
Yes. Councilmember Glanville,
Aye.
Councilmember Rayburn,
Aye.
Councilmember Burgess.
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf.
Aye.
The motion passes.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for consistency?
Yes, I make a motion that the proposed zoning text amendment regarding Section 2.13-2, fences and walls, referenced in the Town of Jamestown Land Development Ordinance be approved based on the following. The proposed zoning amendment is consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan of the Town of Jamestown because updates to the zoning text are necessary based upon changing conditions, regulations, and laws. Updates establish town compliance with regulating bodies and ensure governing documents are accurate and operational. And the proposed zoning text amendment is reasonable because it adds clear and specific standards for fencing within agricultural zoning districts, includes types of permitted fences, and conditions such as types of vegetative screening adjacent to residential area. And the proposed zoning amendment is in the public interest because it provides flexibility for agricultural property owners while protecting residential neighbors through screening and placement standards promoting compatibility between uses.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. And now, Faith, would you give us the information from the Historic Jamestown Society?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We received a request from the Jamestown Historic Society for funding for the 25-26 fiscal year. The contract will be for cultural and historical programming and conservation. They want to do some additional education, outreach, and advocacy, I think host some events and things like that for the community. We did meet with some staff. Staff did meet with some board members, and they are doing tours, but by appointment only at this time. So based on the priorities provided by the Director of the Historic Jamestown Society, we recommend the following be approved and include to be included in our contract with the Historic Jamestown Society. I don't know why I'm stumbling so much. The contract amount would be up to $10,500 on a reimbursable basis, and they must provide receipts. They did use the full 10.5 last year. I went back and looked for a whole gamut of things. So,
Yeah.
but they did request their 10.5 last year.
Okay.
Ida, so you have reviewed this and you're comfortable with this contract and with what they're doing now, that this is fulfilling that obligation?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I need to know if you're satisfied, yeah.
Any other questions for Faith? Or the...
Make a motion?
Yes.
I'll make the motion to approve the contract for services with the Historic Jamestown Society in the amount not to exceed $10,500, and to allow the town manager, finance director, and the assistant town manager to execute the contract.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. And now Matthew.
Well, good evening once again. Over the past several months, Finance Director Faith has been exploring professional advisory services to help strengthen two critical areas of our financial operations. One, to help support the town through the fire station renovation process, financing process, including navigating the North Carolina Local Government Commission, the LGC, and their requirements. And number two, to help equip this council and future councils with reliable, forward-looking data for budget forecasting and long-term financial planning. As a part of that effort, staff have engaged in discussion with First Tryon Advisors, a firm with strong reputation for helping local governments across North Carolina make fiscally responsible and transparent decisions. Tonight, I'm pleased to introduce Charles Havlison, who goes by Chazo. He's the fifth. I found this out, and there is a sixth. So that's great lineage. Who is vice president at First Tryon Advisors. Chazo brings 12 years of public finance experience working directly with municipal governments in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. And as a municipal advisor, he supports communities in capital planning, credit rating preparation, debt structuring, and managing the full debt issuance process. He's a graduate of Davidson College and holds a BA in economics. He's here to share how First Tryon services, including their proprietary forecasting tool, could support both the council and staff in making informed, strategic, and transparent financial decisions. I do want to be clear, we're not asking for any action tonight. We're asking for you to see this and to help inform the council and the public. We know that while we're already very transparent, our residents today are asking for and expecting more access to information, particularly when it comes to our financial decisions and how it shapes the future. This tool would not only enhance our ability to meet the citizens' expectations, but also give current and future councils a clearer picture of how today's choices will affect tomorrow's outcomes. It's about aligning our financial strategy with our community priorities. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chazo. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and thank you so much for having me out tonight. As Matthew mentioned, Chazo Halbliston with First Tryon Advisors. We are a financial advisory firm based out of Charlotte, so not too far down the road from you all. Our role and the services that we provide are geared towards local governments, helping them capital plan, financial plan, and then if there's ever a time where you need to borrow funds, help you access those funds, go through the full financing process, get approval from the local government commission, solicit funding from banks, and ultimately close on the loan. And so in that regard, we are a fiduciary to our clients. We sit on your side of the table, help you all make the financial decisions that we believe in we believe that are in your best interest. We are not a bank. We're not looking to lend you money, so we are solely providing you advice that we think is going to keep you all financially healthy and make the best financial decisions for the town. As Matthew mentioned, we do a lot of the debt issuance process, which may be geared towards your upcoming fire station renovation, but wanted to focus more so on our capital planning and long-term forecasting efforts this evening with discussion materials that I have prepared. So generally, why is capital planning important? Well, it provides a transparent and forward-looking tool for staff, council, and citizens to review, evaluate, and make decisions upon. It gives you all of the detailed data and information that you need to make decisions so that you're fully informed with what you're deciding on budget year to budget year, but also making sure that the decisions you're making today are not hindering anything that you all are looking to do in the future. So the effort there is to get as much information and data under one hood so that everything is taken into consideration when you're making these decisions. The GFOA, the Governmental Financial Officers Association, does have some kind of key thoughts or takeaways with regards to the importance of capital planning. It helps you all ensure that critical services are provided to citizens throughout the town and make sure that your assets and your capital infrastructure is maintained and improved upon year over year so that you're not getting into kind of a delayed or deferred maintenance type state. And then it also helps kind of set you all up for the future to make sure that your vision is tackled on the timeline that you want to make sure that it's tackled upon. When we kind of parlay those thoughts into our own process for how we go about evaluating capital planning, well, first of all, you identify your capital needs. So what is it on the horizon that you all have that needs to get done, whether it's critical infrastructure needs, projects that you'd like to fund if the funding sources are available, or more wish list type projects if something were to come into being available to be funded, whether it's a grant that you all receive or some other windfall of money. How can we go about tackling those projects? Then you just have the general needs and wants of elected officials, staff, and citizens. We focus on the affordability limits within the confines of the current town revenues and expenditures. So you obviously have the needs and wants of the town, but then you have to focus on how can we go about affording these in a prudent manner to make sure that we're not jeopardizing our financial health or maintaining adequate fund balance levels against any policies or targets, any target levels that the local government commission might benchmark you all against, or making sure that all of those are taken into consideration. And then if you do need to borrow funds, keeping in mind your debt capacity, so that ability to take on debt and not overly burden the citizens with too much debt as a percentage of your tax base or too much debt per capita. There are certain state statute requirements that we'll have to keep in mind as we go about working on a financing plan going forward, as well as local government commission guidelines as well. And then ultimately just the general timeline of when we want to schedule out these projects. So putting all of that into kind of the mixer, so to speak, or the funnel, allows us to then look forward and say, how do we go about tackling these projects? When can we get them done? How do we go about funding those projects? And again, making sure that we're not jeopardizing our financial health. And so with that 5-year or so horizon on within the scope of the purview of the model that we would put together, that gives you all that forward-looking forecast to make those decisions and say, are we comfortable with what this forecast is telling us? If so, great. If not, what changes do we want to make? Is it on the revenue side? Is it on the expenditure side? Is it on the capital side? Or some mixture of those three to ultimately get to where we want to be? So our approach to capital planning, as Matthew mentioned, it's an Excel-based tool, but it is a very detailed, comprehensive tool that has a number of different tabs that are all talking to each other, so that you are able to put as much information as you want in it and get very easily digestible outputs from it to quickly determine, is the plan of finance that we're putting forward something that we're okay with? Does it check all the boxes we want to make sure that we're checking? Does it fit within the guardrails that we've set against ourselves? Or is something falling below a minimum target level or getting us out of line with our peers? And so with all that information built into the model, that then allows you all to take those actionable decisions when you're looking at not only budget year to budget year decisions, but intra-year decisions or those more 3 to 5 year horizon decisions. So what all goes into a capital planning model? There's 4 key inputs that we put into our model. The first is just your general financial performance on a historical basis. So we typically will look back 3 to 5 years to generate some trend analysis on how certain revenue and expenditure line items have trended over the years to help inform us on our forecast side of the equation. We're also tracking any existing debt that you all have on the books right now. How does that pay down year over year? When that eventually matures, does that create roll-off capacity for the ability to fund additional expenditures or projects in that year and years going forward to mitigate any potential impacts to the ratepayers, the taxpayers, as new projects or new expenditures might come online? As I mentioned, we're folding in your capital improvement plan, whether that's critical needs or more wish list type items. We want to make sure that we have everything that's on council's mind within the model so we can figure out how far we can go down the funding list before we start to break the model or get to a decision or sticking point. And then lastly, a general credit profile should you all ever need to access funds from a bank. We want to make sure that you all would be an appealing credit for someone to lend to get you all the most favorable terms in terms of interest rates and other conditions that a lender would be looking to pass along within a potential loan. Just a general overview of our capital planning model experience. This is a snapshot of all of our clients, not just in North Carolina, but also in South Carolina and Georgia, that use our capital planning models. Specific to North Carolina, we have a little bit over 40 different models for different clients, of which 36 are cities, towns, and villages, some of which are population peers of you all, geographic peers of you all, budget size peers of you all. So we do a lot of modeling kind of in this general town size space, but we also do some for very small entities as low as populations of 250 and as large as 1 million. So it kind of runs the gamut, which gives us a full breadth of experience of what all types of local governments throughout the state are experiencing in terms of operating pressures or revaluation cycles, which helps inform us and bring us additional knowledge and information that we could bring to the town when we're looking to expand upon your capital planning model efforts. I do have a few model snapshots. You probably won't be able to take too much away from them, just given the fine print, or the small print, I should say, but this is a picture of what a general fund forecast would look like, so your main operating fund of the town. On the left side is your historical revenue and expenditure trends, as well as fund balance levels for the past 5 or so fiscal years. We would then load up your current budget year as our baseline for our projections, then anything, for example, fiscal 2027 and beyond, would be based on forecasted assumptions on how do we think certain revenue line items will grow year over year, how we think certain expenditure line items will grow, whether it's personnel, operations. We layer on capital, we layer on existing and proposed debt as needed, and then again, our tracking mainly our fund balance levels to ensure that we're keeping you all within a certain range that we feel comfortable with. This is more so the kind of the nitty-gritty portion of the model that is better served with us and staff going through and putting together the fine-tuned projections. And then from there, we transition into more dashboard-level graphics and outputs that are a little bit more easily digestible for staff, council, the public, when you're looking to start to make decisions. Oftentimes, we will present this model multiple times a year, but we're very heavily involved in the January to May timeframe during the budget season, effectively, when staff starts to receive requests from their departments, whether it's operating and maintenance requests or capital requests. We start to synthesize that into the model and see how the budget is starting to take shape and how does that affect our model going forward when we start to make decisions on what's the right property tax rate to set, what our operating and maintenance expenditures looking like, what are our personnel expenditures looking like, capital needs, can all this fit within our current revenue streams, or do we have to consider appropriating fund balance to fund certain capital projects, or we need to borrow funds to maintain adequate fund balance levels. So we're usually active in budget work sessions. Usually 1 or 2 times a year we'll come out and sit down with you all and pull up the model live so that you all can start to see the decisions that you're making and have a very instantaneous response from the model in terms of what are the impacts of certain decisions as you all are getting asked in the budget process. So this section here is where we start to layer on the capital improvement plan. The model is handy. It has on and off switches, so you can basically load in every single project that is on your mind and turn projects on, turn them off. If it's on, it's impacting the model. If it's off, all the information still lives within the model, but it's just not flowing through and impacting any of the results that we're looking at. So it allows you to kind of tick down the list of what are the critical need projects. If we've got all of those financed or funded within our current budget, now let's see how far we can go before we start to go below a fund balance level, for example, or start to consider issuing too much debt. So it allows us to look at the project, the timing, the amount, the funding source or multiple funding sources, and all have that live within the model in a simple on-off switch. And then from there, we have some hopefully easily digestible graphic outputs where you can look at visually how do we think our fund balance is going to trend year over year. If it ever falls below a certain guardrail that we're setting, you'll see a few reddish orange boxes that are quick eye indicators to say, hey, in these particular fiscal years, whatever plan of finance we put forth right now is causing us to fall below a certain target or policy threshold that we put in place. We recognize that. If we're okay with it, we kind of move forward because we know in a couple of years we might get back into compliance with our targets, or if it's something that's critically below a target level, that tells us we have to make or take some kind of corrective action in our forecast, figure out what expenditures might need to be cut, pushed out, taken off the table altogether, or some kind of revenue adjustment to get to where we want to be. We're tracking your property tax rate year over year. We're tracking the growth in your tax base, whether it's in between revaluation cycles or in a revaluation year. We're helping you all land on revenue neutral, rate neutral, somewhere in between. What's the proper tax rate to set to not only fund this current budget year, but also future budget years so that perhaps you don't have to kind of go back to the well if another project comes up, or another project that's on the horizon in 2 years. Maybe we can make a decision in this budget year to not only fund this budget, but also be in a position to fund that project when it hits. One of the also helpful tools within the model is in years where we're looking at potentially drawing down fund balance, it gives us a quick and easy visual of what is a potential property tax rate we might need to set to balance the budget. That's not necessarily saying you would do it, but it's just giving you all that piece of information to say, all right, we have a $1 million fund balance appropriation, and if our value of a penny is, not you all's, but just easy numbers, $250,000, well, then we have to take a 4-cent corrective action to balance the budget if we wanted to do so. So it's just a quick and easy math equation to get us to where we want to be and give you some easily digestible outputs to, again, make decisions upon. Is that a comfort level that we are okay with, or is that too high of a number? Or do we not want any property tax rate adjustment at all? Again, if so, then we'd have to go back and recast the forecast to get to where we want to be. These are just effectively some graphic outputs of the similar data that we looked at 2 slides ago to help kind of catch your eye on certain things. The top left graph is existing and proposed debt on your books. So anything that is blue is existing debt on your books. Again, these are sample slides here. Anything that would be gray would be new debt that you all might consider taking on. So it's an easy way just to see how certain proposed projects stack debt on top of your existing debt, and you can figure out how much of our budget is effectively being consumed by making annual principal and interest payments. The top right graph and the bottom left graph move in tandem. The top right graph is effectively saying, are we adding to or subtracting from fund balance in a given fiscal year? And then the bottom left graph is actually tracking fund balance levels in terms of dollar amounts and any policy level targets that you all might have. Then I know you all have a utility fund, so we also have the ability to build in your utility fund and track things like your cash balance levels or a metric called debt service coverage ratio to make sure that you all are covering your debt service at an adequate level and kicking off additional cash in a given fiscal year to fund projects on a pay-as-you-go basis. The last kind of output of the slide, or output of the model here is peer comparison. So we have the ability to bring in anyone's assigned and unassigned fund balance level data and debt level data to benchmark you all against whatever peer set you want to create. So whether it's other localities in the general Jamestown area, whether it's other localities across the state that have similar population levels, similar budget sizes, similar types of services that you all offer, we can create a customized peer set here to benchmark ourselves to make sure that not only from a policy perspective we're kind of hitting our benchmarks that we want to be within, but also from just a general, what are other localities doing? Do we have too much fund balance? Is our fund balance level well above where we're seeing our other peers? Is it well below? Is it right in the midpoint? Similar with our debt, do we have too much debt, too little debt, or are we somewhere in between? So we could look at it at a current snapshot, but also on a forward-looking basis. Where do we think this plan of finance is going to take us, and then how do we now go back and revisit our ratios and benchmark ourselves against those peers, again, to see where we stack up. This is something that the Local Government Commission does on an annual basis, so it's kind of getting out ahead of them and making sure that no plan of finance that we're looking to take action upon would not only jeopardize the financial health, but also cause a town to get a call from the Local Government Commission saying, hey, what's going on with your finances? We think your fund balance is getting too low, or your debt burden is getting too high. I don't have a slide on this, but one thing I want to touch on, just with the fact that we do these models throughout the state, but also throughout other states as well. The fact that it's in Excel makes it a very easily fungible, manageable tool where we can make it do whatever you want to do. And working with other localities, we'll often get questions of, hey, can you add this feature into the model, or can you make it do this for us? And almost always the answer is yes. And then the follow-on is that we'll say, well, we have other clients that we think that would actually be a great service for, so let's go ahead and build it into the model. So just because we build out the model and it looks like something today doesn't mean a year from now it's not going to look completely different, because we're continuing to move it forward, and we want it to be an ever-living and breathing tool so that it's delivering you all the best information and the best results possible to give you all the answers that you need. So I know I did a lot of talking. I'd very much welcome any questions that you might have. I do have a section on First Run itself, but don't want to belabor that. I want to focus on the capital planning side here.
Yes, I have a couple of questions, Chazo. So this is a software that your company provides, correct?
Yes, it is Excel-based, but it is a software that we have developed in-house, and it is proprietary in the fact that we created it, but it's not like a license base where we can simply turn it off and you all won't have access to it anymore. It is something that once we build it, the town owns. So we send it to you all. You can operate it and manage it however you all please. You can certainly keep us involved. We're more than happy to run it on your behalf, or we can let Faith run it, or some combination of the two. But it is not a software in the sense that you all have to license it from us year to year, and we can just shut it off if you all don't pay it.
And I was wondering about a licenses on this. So is this a software that we'd have to worry about data breaches or anything like that?
No, we don't do anything in terms of like a cloud-based software. It is a file that you all save, and you'll send it from First Try to Jamestown, or you can just keep it on your systems. But because it's not cloud-based, there really isn't any, I would say, risk of a data breach there.
I was concerned about any risks for this, since it's budgetary and it's sensitive information. So I was really concerned about that. Do you think once the information is implemented into the model, it's on us, we don't have anything else to worry about, or you don't have anything else to do with it at that point once we're implementing stuff?
We're happy to kind of take it whichever way you all want. Some clients allow us to run the model on their behalf, and we just send you all the newest version when we have all the information inputted. Some we'll just say, hey, thanks for the model, we're going to run with it ourselves, so it would just live on your servers, and, you might reach out to us occasionally, but it's really you all running the model, or there's some kind of in-between where Faith and I are working back and forth. Maybe she's running a scenario and I'm checking it behind her, but, anything that lives on your system, I guess, is kind of subject to any other vulnerabilities that anything else on your system might be. Our system is backed up. We have, firewalls, things of that nature to protect against any data breaches. And so the fact that there's kind of just sitting on two servers but no real cloud-based potential for hacking, I think.
But you do have something that so you're saying you do have something that is protecting against data breaches?
Just by way of our own internal files being protected with firewalls and things of that nature in our IT department guarding against that. We do have the ability to password protect the files. You can lock down the entire workbook. You can lock down entire sheets. So that could be an added level of security. But in terms of data breaches, I don't think there's really anything to worry about unless the town got hacked or we got hacked, but nothing kind of cloud-based that I would think would cause any concern.
If I may, the data that you're talking about is publicly available in our budgets and online already, so we're not putting in any information that's not already publicly available. It's in our comprehensive financial reports or otherwise.
I have a question. So the tool, the modeling, look, I know enough about financial and analytic modeling to be dangerous. So is the tool in Excel, is it more than just adding, subtracting, and dividing and multiplying? Is it like sophisticated predictive analytic and simulation tools, or like, I'm trying to gather what is different than what the skill set that our team already has here.
So it's a little bit of both. Some of it is just as simple as, hey, we're going to look at the previous 5 fiscal years of this particular revenue item, and it's averaged a 5% growth rate, so let's use that going forward. There are other aspects to it when you're creating customized principal and interest repayment schedules, kind of customized linkage of tabs talking back to each other, graphics that automatically will populate with a different assumption. But in terms of kind of the predictive analytics, we haven't ventured too far into that. Usually we're taking advice from you all in terms of you've got the boots on the ground, you know where revenues or expenditures are generally going. We have some general information from what we're seeing from other clients throughout the state, or some of the reports that are put out by the state, particularly on sales tax levels, but nothing too much in terms of like deep algorithms or predictive analytics of that nature.
Okay. Is this something that we're sitting in a budget meeting, Faith has her computer with her, she's got this Excel spreadsheet up in front of her. Is this something where she could change her rate in it and we would immediately know
Yes.
what that change would?
That's right. Yeah, any variable within the model can be adjusted on the fly, and it'll be instantaneous. So as a hypothetical, if you're looking at your fire station project and you have, 2 options, one is $5 million and one is $8 million, you can quickly switch the cost of that project from 5 to 8, and every portion of the model that needs to pick up that adjustment will do so. And so certain graphs, as an example, all 4 of these graphs would adjust accordingly based on that simple change of your project cost. So it is very dynamic in the sense that we want it to be something that is used in a live meeting to allow you all to run through a whole host of scenarios or what-ifs and hopefully arrive on some narrowed down scope or a few scenarios that you all are comfortable with to then give staff the go forward to, hey, start crafting a budget around these certain parameters, versus we come to a meeting with a static model, give you all a set of slides and say, here's what this current budget looks like, what do you all think? You all say, well, I think we need to change X, Y, and Z, and then we got to come back the next meeting, which is 3 or 4 weeks later, and do it all over again, and by then, or inevitably something between then and at the first meeting and the second meeting has changed, and then all of a sudden it just kind of prolongs the process. So we've been in hour-long budget work sessions where councils and staff have come to us with 10 different scenarios, and we've flashed those up in sequential order, and within 5 or 10 minutes we've quickly narrowed it down to 2 or 3. And so just giving you all the tool to get those instantaneous results on any decision points that you all are looking to make, I think very much expedites the process while keeping it extremely transparent. Everyone's aware of what's going into the model, what's coming out of it, and what does it look like for the future of the town's financial health.
And that would also predict a decision we made today. You can look out, how's that going to affect it 5 years from now?
Yep, exactly. So you know what the 5-year picture would look like. You know, if you have a certain project that's coming in year 5 and it's going to take, a lot of fund balance to tackle that project, well, let's maybe plan for it in the first 4 years versus getting to year 5 and all of a sudden, we have to bite the bullet, so to speak, to tackle that project. So looking at that long-term horizon lets you all know what is scheduled out over the next 3 to 5 years, and then do the decisions that we make today, set us up for success in the future? Does it kind of allow us just to continue to chin the bar, and we'll have to make certain tougher decisions down the line, which is very much, a council decision, but it allows you all just to see what's on the road ahead and how best we want to go about getting there.
And this would also allow you to compare several what-if scenarios at once?
Yes, I would say not at once, but in quick sequence. So if you say, what if we do this project? What if we don't do this project? On
3%,
off?
4%,
Yep.
5%, you could come up immediately
Exactly,
with
yeah.
an answer. Okay. That's all my questions.
I have more questions, but I think they're probably more for Matthew and Faith, but maybe you'll be able to supplement. But so obviously we already do capital planning. So how does this like really enhance the experience beyond the kind of instantaneous factor, do you all think?
Basically, right now, our spreadsheet goes out 5 years, but we take a year at a time and look at what our current budget is for the coming up fiscal year, what our revenues look like. So this right here is projecting out a little, I guess, harder numbers for the 5 years, as to where I'm looking at one fiscal year to say, okay, these are the projects we want to try to do this year. Let me factor them in the budget to see if we cover it. If not, then I push them down to the next year or whatever, I just spread it out if we don't have the funding. This right here kind of would take a 5-year plan, or like you said, with the fund balance, and be able to say, okay, if we did this project this year, what's our fund balance going to look like next year and the year after if we incorporate these other projects? Or do we need to go for, financing, if that's the case? But right now, we're basically just kind of looking at year over year, just what this budget season holds this year, what this budget season will hold next year, instead of saying, okay, over 5 years, this is what the effect would be if we did it now.
So one of the things that Faith had tried to explain to me is that, we're a small municipality. We don't have a budget analyst position. A lot of municipalities will have a budget analyst that does this type of work. I don't want to, probably not to that detail. That's an incredible tool. But with that type of position, you can get a little bit more surgical. And so this would be a lot more surgical precision than a very conservative approach for us is to just say, well, we think that this will cover it. And it may be that, if we think that it's higher, we could actually narrow it down and be a lot more precise about what types of impacts we're going to have to the budget if we do certain projects, or if we time it differently. We may be able to give the council information like, I think you showed us an example where if we wait 2 years, given the fact that one of the inputs that you can put in is estimated changes in tax base. So if we know we have a project, like we know we have growth coming, we can estimate that. And so if we know that we have additional revenue 2 years in the future, we may be better off to hold off on a project for a specific period of time to let our cash flow look better or be better. So that, hopefully that's helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
I don't speak finance as well as they do.
makes me think of another question. So, Chazzo, does your firm, when it comes to financing and loans, so do you all keep an eye for us, or do we still keep an eye on what are the best interest rates being offered to municipalities? Do you advise in that kind of way too, or just basically here's the tool and?
Yes, so we would very much love to be involved in the financing process. So kind of our role in that aspect is getting you all from start to finish. So it starts with laying out a financing calendar. What are all the key milestones that need to be hit? What are all the key council actions that have to be taken? We help you all engage the local government commission to make them aware that you're looking to finance a certain project. We'll help with the application process and the approval process. Then on the actual financing itself, we have a repository list of 40 or 50 banks that we will typically send a request for proposal out to, saying that the town of Jamestown is looking to seek funding for a fire station in X amount over 15 or 20 years, or however long you want to amortize the debt, and help you all receive those proposals and determine what's the best funding approach for the town. But in general, we're doing this for a lot of clients throughout the state, so we generally have a finger on the pulse of what interest rates are looking like. And so when we're starting to build out a forecast, you're saying we're looking to borrow for a financing or for a fire station over 15 years, we can tell you all what the right rate is to assume there. And maybe you put a little conservatism in there just to keep the model conservative, but not get overly conservative and then be punitive to you all and make it harder to make other decisions. But we would very much love to be involved in the financing process and help you all through that to make sure that you're getting the best terms and conditions available.
Okay. And I think I had just one other question. Again, this is more for Matthew and Faith. So with this tool, do you think this tool would like alleviate kind of any strain that's on current staff? So maybe their time could be reallocated to other things, or, it would maybe, would we consider putting pauses on future hiring because this tool could do so much we wouldn't need other staff, or?
I think it would make the budget process a little easier for staff and for council. I think it makes things a little more transparent. We will be able to make better informed decisions, I believe, because we'll have a forecast that looks into the future. It takes into account the growth that we're going to get. And yes, I think on the staffing, it would be, beneficial as far as, do we need maybe we could hold off on hiring a position and wait a couple years, because then we'll see what the revenue looks like, or no, we really can't afford to hire this position now. It'll be good because if we do any kind of salary studies or anything like that, that can be incorporated into this model as well. Even as far as the rate study for water sewer can be incorporated into this model. So I really think, and after looking at other softwares that are way more expensive than this, and when we decide we don't want the software anymore, well, we just lose it. It's not ours to keep. That's another beneficial thing. But I think over a long term, we're going to find that this tool is very helpful when it comes to staffing, projects, and the growth that we're seeing.
Okay, thank you.
That made me think about our capital improvement projects. And you said we could turn on and off different projects. That would be something very beneficial to us as a council to be able to say, okay, this is how much money we've got. Which of these how can we get the most done by these projects by just turning them on and off within that model? And that, again, would be something Faith could be sitting at a computer in our meeting and do.
Yep, absolutely. And you can, in addition to turning it on and off, you can say, well, I want to pay for this out of cash, or I want to do a 50-50 split between debt and cash, or all debt, or, any combination of those two. So you can, if the project is, something that you really want to get done, but you can't pay for it all of cash, then you can kind of figure out what's the optimal mix to get that project done. Maybe not, borrow as much money as the project would potentially cost, but, get to the right happy medium there.
Chazo, do you have a client similar in size to Jamestown that use this?
Yes, we have a number, a couple that come to mind. So there's Granite Falls, Valdez, Town of Franklin, which is on the west.
Is there a way we can get a reference? I think we asked for that in previous meeting, Matt. Matt, we've talked about references. Were you able to get any for us from this?
So we did. We sent out 4 or 5 different emails asking. I got one returned, a glowing recommendation from them. I think it was Belmont, if I'm not mistaken. And then we looked at their client list and found that Thomasville's, of course, being in our region, we just picked up the phone and called and talked to their finance director, who also gave a glowing recommendation. So I know Faith has mentioned that she had talked to different people at the conferences and things, and they also highly recommend them. So.
They did a presentation at the spring conference back in February, I believe, and that's how I come across them. And so as we started talking about the fire department, I knew that this would be a big project for the town to undertake, and so I reached out to them, and while doing so, found out about this model. Because like I said, in the past, I had been looking for, a tool that would help make the budget process a lot smoother, and had looked at some softwares that some municipalities do use, but they were expensive, and I didn't feel comfortable coming to council and asking for that, because implementation and then the yearly fees, that was incorporated with those softwares. And the fact that it felt like it was a one-size-fit-all as to where this is not. This is geared just for Jamestown. And so I felt like it was a good time to explore this, because the option was better than what I have looked at in the past.
Chazza, do you keep any, does your company solicit any, written feedback that you, put as part of your promotional stuff?
We do not.
Okay.
Just the way that we are set up, we're kind of handcuffed in the way of going about promotional information, but I'm certainly happy to get you all a few more references if you'd like.
Yeah, or if we could see just documentation, and you all know I've had email issues lately, so if that's been sent and I didn't see it, I apologize, but yeah, if we could just get documentation of the references that we've already received.
Well, I want to thank you for coming back out.
Yes.
Mr. Havlicek
Yes.
actually came to our council briefings a couple weeks ago, and so I don't have a lot of questions because I asked several during those briefings. But, some of the things that really stood out to me, and I am not one who likes anything that sounds or smells like a sales pitch, and it did not feel like that at all, and also, I'm sort of inclined against if I feel like someone's trying to sell me something.
Yeah.
But then when he was showing us the tool and everything, and was able to really, give examples in real time and how it could be within a budget session, that was just really exciting, and certainly for council to be able to make the best decisions possible and to see those changes in real time, which just isn't possible to do if you're, just humans trying to figure it all out. But also for the public to be able to see. I was really interested in the ways that, the outputs and the graphs and things like that people will be able to see, and forecasting. I think, even tonight we heard from, longtime residents who, the budget is challenging. It is, it's very confusing. I mean, you look at it and there are all these different departments and there are all these different line items and everything. And I was just really interested in the way that this particular model really breaks all that out and makes it digestible, and you can make those changes and see what that impact is immediately. And I just am interested in the implications that could have for getting information out to the public in a way that is, clearly more easy for them to maybe be able to see than what we're able to do now.
Mm-hmm. I also want to point out that my crossed arms are not a point of disdain. I am absolutely freezing. Yes. So I think maybe one of our line items in our budget should be reduced AC bills.
Did you have any questions or comments?
Well, it's not a question, but I was just thinking about how you could use, but this is an example. Let's say in 2026, Guilford County will be reassessing the tax property, our real estate, okay? So last time they did it, the values went up 25 to 30% for most folks. So you could, once we know what those values are, you can put that in there, and you can predict or tell us what the revenues for Jamestown would be at keeping the current tax rate, or if we reduce the tax rate because assessments are going to be higher. So you could do that quickly.
Yeah, just within a couple seconds.
Yeah.
You can easily.
And then you could, we were talking about staffing, you would be able to, if you were given the information, to quickly say, well, if you reduce staff here, what that would look like, or if we were adding staff here, what that would look like in overall numbers.
Yep, that's exactly right. You can easily add hypothetical staff members. You can cut back on staffing and, reduce your expenditure levels or some combination of the two. Or, as Faith mentioned, if you're looking at salary study implementation, we can run through a whole host of scenarios with that as well. So yeah, anything personnel-related, we can certainly capture within the model, whether it's actually taking place in the budget year or if it's something that could take place in future years.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you so much for the
Yeah.
presentation.
Thank you all for having me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Be careful going back.
Thank you.
Katie, do we have anyone signed up for public comment period?
Nobody signed up.
Any other business?
I just wanted to say, I know we had some speakers here talk about their desire to have some things put on the September agenda, and I don't know what will ultimately end up on the September agenda, but I do want to let everyone know I will not be here at the September meeting. So if new things are put on the agenda, I will not be here to hear them at that time.
Councilmember Rayburn, you had an excellent suggestion. I'm going to let you take the lead on that.
I just noticed that we have several folks who are running for office in the audience and didn't know if they would be comfortable maybe coming up to the podium and just stating their name and what they're running for. I think it's always impressive when people actually come to the meetings of the things that they're running for. So.
We don't need a lot of information.
Right. No stump speeches, just.
Yeah, name and what position you're running for. You have experience in that.
My name is Cliff Paddock. I'm running for one of the open council seats. And thank you all for having me tonight.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Claire.
Good luck.
My name is Jim Gibson. I'm also running for one of the open council seats. It's been a pleasure to be here tonight and kind of see what this process looks like. So I appreciate you guys' time.
I'm sorry, you said
Thanks,
Shane?
Jim.
Excuse me?
What is it? What did you say your name is? I'm sorry.
My name?
Gibson.
Jim Gibson.
Jim. I heard Shane, and I was like, what? Okay.
Jim, I'll try and say it better next time.
Yours are frozen.
I know, I was like, I don't remember anyone named Shane running,
Good
but
luck.
okay. The dark horse.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shekinah Simeona Lee. That is a mouthful. I know Katie is going to write it down. She already has it. I'm running for one of the town council seats as well, and thank you for all the information. You all are doing a wonderful job.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. I think that takes care of it.
Yeah, thank you all for being here.
Any other business, council? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Thank you all.